2, 3, 4.
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're going to be using these white Shabbat booklets that you have in front of you. They have Hebrew, they have transliteration, and English. So we'll be going through the text. Madeline's going to help us with part of the service tonight, so she's going to join me over here. The first piece that we are going to share together, that was what was called a nigun, by the way, a melody without words, called the Bina's nigun. The word Bina means understanding. So hopefully through the melody, which we're actually going to sing at the end, right? It's here at the very end. Hopefully you'll gain a different perspective and understanding when we're done tonight. So Madeline's going to get us started. We're going to sing together with the words of Shalom Aleichem. We're going to find on page 4 in our Shabbat prayer book as we welcome in our angels of peace. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom.
Nefesh is that special additional soul we have on Shabbat. You can find on page number 5, Yedi Nefesh, the music, with just a few of our people here, so who we are. This is David Rubin on violin, you heard him earlier tonight. Scott Wickett is one of our singers and our sound coordinator extraordinaire.
Sound engineer.
Donna Troisi sings, of course, with her beautiful voice. That's Cheryl Hammerman. Myron Upward, Frank Jacobson on djembe, that's an African drum, and Ken Robinson on guitar, and yours truly with a little tambourine and a sore throat. Okay, Yedi Nefesh, page number 5. Melody from Nava Tehillah, right from Jerusalem. Shabbat, the receiving of the Sabbath, with a variety of texts and songs from the Bible. The first is a piece of Psalm 95, which we can find on page 8. Madeline's going to lead us and join us in the Chumina, page number 8. To page 13. As we celebrated Simchat Torah this past Monday night, Tuesday?
It all blurs together. Monday night. It was only Monday night. Can you believe it?
Freaking month ago. Yeah. Anyway, Simchat Torah, what we're saying is that yes, we end the cycle of Torah reading and we begin tomorrow morning with the story of creation, Bereshit. We have to do it 40 times
Yeah,
because
pretty.
Moses was up on the mountain for 40. I'm just
Wandered
kidding.
in the desert
Just
for
kidding. Just
years,
kidding.
so 40
Not 40 times. We'll do it a few times. Anyway, the text Romano, which is on page 13, speaks about adoring and adorning and praising the Har Kodesh, the holy mountain, the place where the Jewish people danced and celebrated, which we reenact in Shavuot and on Simchat Torah. So we have the beginning of the Torah, the story of creation, which we'll talk more about tonight and tomorrow morning. Romano you can find on page 13 a few times.
Wait for it. Like now. Like now.
She's pretty awesome.
She's great, right? I'm going to call her Madeline the background singers.
Oh, we're going to put her up in the front.
Okay, my friends, moving right along, the Psalm for the Sabbath, which talks about the 7 voices of God, which parallel the 7 days of creation. You can find the text on page 14. We're going to stand together. It's a custom to stand for this melody. If you can't follow along with the Hebrew, the English is on page 15, and it's entitled Mizmor Levi, the Psalm of David, Psalm number 29, Mizmor Levi, the melody from the Hasidic composer and Rabbi Shlomo Karl. Mizmor Levi. Everything from that dude is interesting, but that's a story for a different time.
No, it's far away from
You know, there was a Broadway play about Shlomo Carlebach. It's called The Soul Doctor. Interesting, right? Doctor of the Soul. Some very interesting scenes in that movie, or in that play, but that's a story for a different time. Okay. We're going to welcome the Sabbath Bride with the melody of Chadodi on page 20. So we are going to...
1, 2, and 3, 25.
Okay, so we're going to do some different verses tonight. We're going to skip around. And so Chadodi has different verses based on the author who wrote the text. So we're going to do a few of his initials. Okay, so we're going to do the chorus, and then we'll do verse number 1. Then we'll move to verse 2. You'll see those in parentheses. Then we're going to jump to verse 5. And then we're going to go to the last verse, which is verse... Okay, so we're going to do 8 and 9. 1, 2, 5, 8, 9. Okay, 1, 2, 5, 8, 9. Pick those as your lottery ticket numbers. Verse 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 5, 8, 9. Well, you're in synagogue, you'll win, okay? And then you'll give all the proceeds to the Tzion Building Fund. Thank you. Okay, 1, 2, 5,
Tzion Music Fund.
8, and 9. Okay. Let's do the Chadodi first before we even talk about it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
we don't know why we do things in our tradition. And I was the type of student that you could never get anywhere in my rabbinic classes because I always asked questions. And my teachers got really annoyed with me. And I'm like, well, the old generation is losing Jews by the number because people just don't do things anymore for the sake of doing them. And so I think it's really important we understand why we are and who we are. Do you know why we stand and face the West? Well, the East is Jerusalem, so clearly we're supposed to face the West for that part of the service. So one reason is, there's lots of reasons, but one perhaps is that the sun sets in the West, right? At least where we are. So if you're in Antarctica, right, you face a different direction. North Pole, you face a different direction. China, you know that the Ark is on the western wall, right, because they're closer to the western part of Jerusalem, so they face the east. Two other reasons. One, after Lachagudi, that was the custom in the ancient world where people who lost a loved one came into the service. Because this part of the service is happy and joy and fun, and they're not so much in that place. So for me to recognize those people, that was the time that they come in. Modern day, like everyone's all together, and we have to support each other, so that doesn't always happen. Three, people who walked in who were visitors, travelers on the way, right, would walk in, would be an opportunity to welcome them. Yeah? And actually, the reason why we do Kiddush, the Mammon will do Kiddush tonight over the cup of grape juice, is not because we're supposed to do it in the synagogue. Where are you supposed to do Kiddush? At home. So why do we do it in the synagogue on Friday night? Not tradition. The reason why is because if there's someone, because the assumption was that everybody goes home for Shabbat does Kiddush, lest someone be in the community who doesn't have a place to go. If the person didn't have a place to go, they would have Kiddush done in the synagogue, and in the olden days, where do those people stay? At the synagogue, right? The Ner Tamid, the eternal light, is all about, it's actually a night light. You know Motel 6's motto, you always keep the light on? That's where they get it from. Everything comes from Judaism, right? And so the Beit Knesset, the House of Yadrin, was really called a malon. It was called a hotel, a motel. And so people actually would stay in the synagogue, and Kiddush was done, unless people didn't have a place to make Kiddush, right? In Israel, by the way, how many of you have been to synagogue in Israel on a Shabbat morning, on a Saturday morning? How many of you have been invited to someone's home after services? Okay, so it depends how close the relationship is, right? If you only get invited for cookies and cake and wine in the beginning after services, you're an acquaintance. But if you're invited to stay and come later for lunch, then you're part of their family, right? And so Kiddush, again, is a ritual that's done at home, okay? I want to talk about creation. Before we do that, I know there's some people who have to say Kaddish, so now we'll do that. If you want to find the text on 25, anyone who has an anniversary of death of a loved one, or thinking about a loved one who wishes to stand for a loved one, the Kaddish 25. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shnei Rabbah, ve'alma tivra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayecha v'yamecha v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael. Va'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shnei Rabbah mevarach le'olam amen amaya. Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal Shmei D'Kudusha Rechu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechemata Da'amiran Be'alma V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chayim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Ramav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Okay, I think I'm going to continue from here. Shabbat Shalom. I want to just share with you a legend, if you will. There are so many different creation stories of religions over time, cultures over time. There seem to be two parables that every religion has. One is some sort of story about how the world was created, and the other has to do with how this major flood wiped out evil in the world, and this water brought essentially peace into the world and rebuilt it. So for us, that's the creation story this week, and the story of Noah and the flood for next week. But I want to talk about Noah yet, because we're not there. I want to talk about the creation story. One thing in particular. On the sixth day of creation, God says, and I talked about this in my weekly blog this morning, let us create human being in our image. And I don't want to spend the time going through the us and the we and the plural, but then it says, Zachar v'nekeva barotam, male and female, God created them. And I was thinking about, when I was sitting in Israel actually, this verse we were studying about, and there's actually a tradition that means male and female, God created them, that if we're to imitate God, we should strive, okay? Don't be upset at me, Emily and Tom, I'm about to say. We should strive to have at least one boy and girl in our family, okay? I remember in Israel when I was studying this text, I kid you not, a black hat family in my neighborhood, Rehavia, I kid you not, they had 15 girls, and then their youngest was a son, okay? Had to fulfill their obligation. And I said, I've told stories about this family before. I was like, how do you remember all your children? And one of the moms said, we don't. So, anyway. So I want to talk about this kind of male and female, because if that's the case, if the world needs to have male and female, right, especially biologically, to procreate, right, whether we're gay or whether we're heterosexual, we still need to be able to procreate to bring human life into the world. Okay, there's that process. So the question is, if we're imitated in God's image, then that's a suggestion that God has male and female attributes. And so there's a story in what's called the Agadah, the rabbinic folklore, the stories, the fillers in the story, the stories that really make the story. Kind of like the rabbinic Agadah, that the oil that was hidden in the temple that the Maccabees found, and they lit the menorah for 8 days. But the rabbis created to bring a story within the story. So this inner story from the Agadah says that there's male God and female God. That God has two sexes. God is, has some sort of bisexual orientation. And so female God says to male God, let's create human being. And male God says to female God, absolutely not. And female God says to male God in the story, why? Think about it. We can bring beauty and lovemaking and care and compassion. And male God says, and we can bring deceit and lying and evil and corruption and destruction and hatred. And female God says, but we can bring beauty and care and altruistic compassion. This is the story that they're going back and forth from the rabbis. And ultimately, at the end of the day, human being is created, right? And so female God with male God together, Zachar v'nekeva barotam, male and female, God created them in their image. And we are blessed with two characteristics out of this story. The two characteristics that are born from human beings is one is called compassion, one is called justice. So compassion is really a good thing because it brings goodness into the world. Justice is a good thing too, but some people don't like it because it brings strictness into the world and law and expectation, and it's okay to fall short. So it's like a parable, the rabbis say, of this man and female. It's like a king or a queen who has 2 cups, 2 glasses. So if you put really, really hot water in a glass, what might happen? It will break, right? Okay, I've tried it in science class, right? It works, it will break. If it gets really, really, really hot, it will break, okay? If you put really, 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 really freezing cold water from Antarctica in your other glass, what could happen? It could break, okay? So it's like a king or a queen that has these 2 types of glasses. And in the ancient tradition, if they had really hot water, really cold water, they would mix the 2 together. Right? It's a parable that the rabbis say, it's like you can't really have too much compassion in the world because it won't work. Right? If you have too much compassion in the world won't learn anything. But if you have too much justice and strict discipline in the world, right, the world won't be compassionate. It's kind of like you can't have one good thing without a bad thing. You won't know what it's like to be sick. if you are only healthy. You won't know what it's like to be healthy if you're only sick, right? And so in bringing all of this together, right, how do we balance life? How do we balance the world for us? And that's very tricky, right? So the rabbis used to say that you would have, and I gave this as a handout, like at my high holidays, I give gifts every year. So like my first year here, I gave this card, and on the front of the card it says, "The world is created for me." On the other side of the card it says, "I am nothing," right? Dust of the earth, right? So in the old tradition, you used to carry each piece of paper in your pocket. And how do you balance? How do you balance the justice? How do you balance the compassion? How do you balance selfishness and selflessness? Well, the world's created this week, and we have to figure that out. So my challenge to us this Shabbat is, this week, start to figure out what that balance for you is, right? How do we mix the really hot compassion with the really cold justice? Because there's time for everything. There's time for everything. We have to be able to balance those things. And so, whether we have 3 beautiful girls in our family, or 2 girls and a boy, or whatever composition we have, or, if we don't have, biological children, but we have our surrogate children, our community kids, right? They're here and they're with us, and we are here with them, and we have to figure out how do we balance. The world is failing in balancing, and we have to do a much better job, because we are, after all, in the Latin imitatio Dei, we are created in the image of God. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to have Abba lead us in the Baruch. We'll stand together. The custom now is to face towards Jerusalem, just face to the east, that way.
כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה לאהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad 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 Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושמעתם למענך ודיברתם בשבתך ביתך ובכתך בדרך ובשבתך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בעיניך ובטחתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
Do the rest of the Shema to ourselves, 32 through 35, in English, and time for personal reflection. We find our blessing of Thanksgiving, the words of Michamocha, page 37.
justice and peace. We can balance compassion and justice. We have the ultimate place to live in the world. And the Hashkabik is that prayer that talks about that balance, that when we go to sleep at night, no worries, no ill will, no hopes for a darkened world. And that the hope is that tomorrow when we wake up, we are well on our way to ultimately a world that is full of light. Because in the beginning, the first thing that was created that we'll read tomorrow, actually that Emily will read tomorrow morning, is the creation of light. The blessing of peace. Hashgiving of page 38.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkiveinu l'shalom.
Isn't that nice? They're pretty good, huh? Yeah.
We have our moments.
Right. But the jury should know whether let's look into their head. So, in a week, stay humble. Okay. Page 40, we're going to stand together. Madeline's going to lead us in the words of Bishop. Right after peace, ultimate peace comes the ultimate blessing, the gift of Shabbat. Bishop, page 40.
Shabbat Vayigash, Shabbat Vayigash, Shabbat
Continues with Chatzi Kaddish, introduction to our private time.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, להמה דברה שירותי ימליך מלכותי.
לחייך לנו
ימיך ונצייך כל בית ישראל. ובזמן חריף בימרו אמן, ישמרה ברא, לעולם יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה לעילוי מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונאמתה תמירה ועלמה וימנו אמן.
Time for private prayer, 43 through 56. Maybe also thinking about how can we be more compassionate, at the same time letting people hear our voices when we need the world to become a little bit better. Just some time to process what that looks like for us in the coming week. Balancing that the world is created for me, and like the dust of the earth, and finding my way in the middle. Some private time for private prayer.
Shama Tehallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Kol HaNeshama 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 Tehallelujah,
We're bringing Max out next month.
That was him.
We have a special, Frank doesn't know it, as a part of our budget. We have a Max budget where we're bringing him out business class.
Once
You
a
keep
month.
that, better than me. We're going to continue with Kaddish Shalem on page
Need
60.
some percussion lessons. I'm just inserting that. I'm sorry.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
That's an incredible sense of rhythm right there. He's got the music in him. Dance all the way home. All right, I have something to do here, don't I? Kaddish Shalem. Yitkadash v'yitkadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrak v'yutev yamlich malchuteh v'chayekon v'mekon v'chayet kol beit Yisrael v'agalam v'zot kariv v'meru. Amen. Shemei Rabba v'orach. Ve'alam v'me'omaya. Yiparach, yiparach, v'yishtabach v'yiba'ar v'yitrama min ha'seh v'yitadar v'yitala v'yitala shmei l'kodesha. Ve'elam mikol chatav she'atat v'chatav v'lechamatav. Damiran v'yama v'yimeru. Amen. Titkabal sotem v'levat v'lecho Yisrael kodam avon v'yishmaya v'yimeru. Amen. Yeresh v'mara v'yishmaya v'chayim aleinu v'yalko Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. Oseh shalom ibrama v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'yalko Yisrael v'yalko yashvei tevel v'yimeru. Amen.
Blessing of healing for our family, for our friends, people in our community, other people around the world who we pray for refuat nefesh, healing of soul, refuat guf, healing of body on this Shabbat. When the world comes into being, we pray for that healing to come into being for those who seek to feel better and to be offered blessing for them. Allah, Rifan Alanu, the goddess of the world, bring healing to all of us.
Help us renew our
sing
Thank you for all these blessings.
throughout our days and nights.
Throughout our days and nights,
We celebrate the journey,
we celebrate the journey.
this precious gift of life.
This precious gift of heaven.
We stand together for Alenu as Madeline leads us on page 6.
Alleluia, Shabbat, Ladon, Hakol, Latefu, Aleu, Ser, Reshit, Shalom, Asamu, Kure, Arasot, Velo, Samanu, Kamishmamot, Adama, Shalom, Sam, Pelkenu, Kahet, Rekor, Alenu, Kidekol, Amona, Anam, Korim, Umishachamim, Umotim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei Hamalchim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
You may be seated. We remember the following loved ones whose anniversaries of death happened this week on the calendar. Joseph Borenstein, Eli Seifert, Mayor Trushansky, Edward Cohen, Edward Swaito, David Schlang, Ruth Levy, Esther Jacoby, Hilda Schachter, Ida Figus, David Katcher, Philip Rich, Meg Feinberg, Catherine Yaki, Esther Vogelman, Carl Stone, Luma Rolnick, Lucille Shapiro, John Zemovic, Rose Freed, and Miriam Freed. This time those who wish to stand will establish from 66. Yitadal, Yitadal, Shemei Radal, Be'alma, Zifrad, Yuteh, Yam Lichma, Yuteh. Be'chayecha, Yamecha, Chaye, Yehovah Yisrael, Ba'agala, Lisman, Karmi, B'Yirul, Amen. Yeh, Shmei, Raham, Barach, Elam, Amen, Amen. Barak, Yishalach, Bahar, Yishraman, Yitnaseh. Yitzhadar, Yitzhalel, Yitzhalal, Shmei, Yishah, La'ela, Yikol, Yerchata, Yishirata. Tushbechata, V'nechachata, Ta'amiram, Te'amah, Hebrew, Amen. Yaheh, Shlama, Rabba, Min Shemaya, B'chayim, Aleinu, Be'al Yisrael, Hebrew, Amen. Oseh, Shalom, Yimamav, Hu, Yachaseh, Shalom, Aleinu, Be'al Yisrael, Hebrew, Amen. Before we finish with Madeline leading us in Kiddush, our community board of directors has a few gifts, comments for gifts for Madeline, and just a few reminders for us. Penny's son Noah is becoming bar mitzvah next week, so we wish her an early mazel tov for now.
Can I come stand next to you? Sorry, my back is going to beat you for a second. Hi. Mazel tov. It's going to be a great weekend, I can tell. I am so happy that I had the pleasure of doing this tonight. I love the Schwepp family. Mazel tov to all of you. Extended, everybody who's here. Madeline is a wonderful girl full of spunk and spice and everything nice. I had a problem in there. But I have some gifts for you on behalf of many, many people. And okay, just have to make sure I listen correctly. If you want to do my old poem, but I won't do it. That's okay. Okay, first. No, it's okay. I'm good. Okay, so the first thing we have is from the men's club, and that is your very special kiddish club, which I think is this here.
Yes.
Okay.
Shake it really hard to see.
Doesn't really move. Okay, so we hope that you use it in good health and stay kiddish all the time with it. You also were given the opportunity to help fund a medical center in Israel, and there's a certificate in here, it's in there, talking about that. The donation was made in your name to the Jewish National Fund. The youth department is giving you a $10 USY gift card. Now that is in here somewhere too. Actually, all these wonderful things are in there. And that, used towards an event for USY, pick the perfect event. The Women's League is presenting you with the tzedakah box. That's all pretty wrapped in here. And you've been given a B'nai Tzedek Youth Philanthropy Certificate with seed money in your name. So you can use this to give to an organization that you're passionate about. And there's the book. And Israel Matters is a wonderful book that you are getting from the Jewish Federation. So use it, go on a trip to Israel, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. Mazel tov. So how do you, what? Now are there other announcements in here?
They should be in that folder.
Oh, I didn't grab the folder.
Do you want to wing it?
Madeline will be having her bat mitzvah tomorrow, 9:30 here. Huh?
Yes.
Is it? No, is it?
Emily does a version that goes on for 3 minutes. She's It's my favorite.
Okay, anybody, I don't see it. I don't know.
If we're gonna do the announcement, something better just do it.
I was going to say.
There is a piece of paper. Yeah. Okay. Just look at your pink paper, there's lots of great things happening, website, all that good stuff. Okay, Shabbat Shalom.
Next Friday at 5:15, there is a happy hour here before services. It's going to be in the lobby. It is Italian theme aperitivo, so make sure you sign up for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. This Sunday at 5, we are going to be hosting Brad Artson through Valley Baby Drush. This is a lecture that is endowed by the Hammerman family. And he's really amazing. He is the dean at Ziegler, the rabbinic school in LA that gave us our beautiful and wonderful Rabbi Kaplan. So those are two things that are upcoming and definitely worth your time. Last thing is next Sunday between 3 and 5 in Scottsdale Quarter, we are having a fundraiser at Kendra Scott. This is like my favorite fundraiser of the year. I don't know if I should really put that in there. Anything you purchase at Kendra Scott, we will get 20% of the proceeds. Oh, or if you can't be there, I want you to call either, I think Stacy Wittenberg, you can call Danny, I think Stacy Wittenberg is fielding all the phone calls, or put in an email what you want to be bought on that day. It'll be 20% back to the synagogue. It's awesome, it's fun, and you get jewelry out of it. You can't ask for anything. You can ask for anything more. Okay, and with that, I think I got it all.
Okay, Madeline, Kiddush, we'll stand together with you. Again, we talked about why we say Kiddush for everyone who's here, and Madeline will represent us. We'll hold the Kiddush cup for you, and we'll listen to blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon v'chilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit.
Kihu Yom Tehillah, Lemikra Kodesh, Zecher Etziat Mitzrayim. Ki anu b'charta, Yotanu Kidashta, Mikol Amim. I know, I was just meant to be holding in. It's a good thing that Travis lowered the keys.
There was something that I forgot to put the cable on, and we were like,
Yeah, really? So on Friday, it was hot last night.
it was.
It was hot last night.
You feeling better? I'm getting there. I can't get my focus. That's gonna go. Keep working. Get out of here. Thank you, Frank. That was awesome. Yes. Where did you find it? I got it online. They changed all the pictures. Lions. I actually see and then at the end of it. So like at the end of the lesson it's got a song, right? I don't know if it's all, it's got a whole bunch. It works. It's helpful. If you need to like I think they did. That's true. So sometimes you need someone to spotlight, right? Maybe you'll get invited at some point.
Thank you, Scott.
Where's that place?